center of being an entrepreneur is wanting to get up every day and solve problems.
Welcome to The Crow's Nest, the official podcast of Candace Crowe Design. I'm TK.
And I'm Candace Crowe.
Today's guest is Chris Suchánek, the CEO of Firm Media.
In this episode, we'll learn from a 25-year veteran of the industry who takes what I call a trailblazing approach to his company. Chris is not just your do what others do kind of person. He's a thinker, an innovator, and an open-ended question kind of guy. So listen as you hear Chris talk about what's important to him and his company's approach to marketing.
We hope you enjoy it as much as we enjoyed our conversation with Chris.
Thank you.
So your backstory includes everything from winning a Grammy, riding your bike across Spain and Portugal, and feeding the hungry. How do you introduce yourself to people when you have so many various interest and experience and facets of your character?
That's interesting. That's a good question. First of all, I should frame those things properly. I didn't win a Grammy. I was on a team of people that won a Grammy for someone who won the Grammy. So I've been doing marketing most of my life, and I did marketing for Brainstorm Artists International when one of the artists won a Grammy. So I use that story to say that I basically went to work one day when I was doing marketing for a label, and I believed that we were good at what we did. But after the day after we won the Grammy, the energy in the room was changed in a way that was measurable. And I believe what I used to say after that was, once somebody touches greatness, it changes them forever. It's become sort of the pattern that I live my life by. I was a musician when I was younger. I have ridden my bike across Portugal and Spain. That was my wife's idea. So I'm technically not the inspiration of the Iron Man in the family. So there are a lot of things that I do. Marketing is part of what I do. There was a young woman that came in my office the other day who works here, and she said, "I want you to know that I believe there's something that you're doing here at Firm Media that has nothing to do with money and has nothing to do with marketing. And I want you to know that I'm in and I'm on board." And I hope that everyone who meets me has that experience with me, because it doesn't matter what I do. This is what I believe. I believe that as a musician, I look at life like an instrument. And if I hold down this chord, and if I hold down this string, and this string, and I strum it in the right way, I'll get this particular result. And I do that with business. I do that with hobbies. I do that with art. I don't really know how to explain that. I just know that if you go to my social media now, it positions me as a marketer, because my team says stop being a photographer and an artist and all of those things, and tell the world that you're a marketer, because we need people to hear your story as a marketer, and it's interesting. So that's what I'm doing now. That's a long way to answer that question. I'm very sorry.
No, that's really good. That's really, Candace's mother is a portrait artist and a landscape artist. And so I know in our family, kind of viewing life as your kind of piece of art is a big kind of way of viewing it. And so when you're talking about strumming the strings of life, that's what really connected with me.
Yeah, most people, I don't know. I've had a lot of employees over the years. I get up every day in between my wife's restaurants that she owns and the nonprofit and the marketing agency. My desk is at the marketing agency. As you both know, I do talk and live and breathe marketing most of the day, but I still get up every day with about 60 employees to deal with. And I find that most people are working for their vacation. And it's just such a terrible way to live. It's a terrible way to live. I don't know if it's Friday or Saturday. I just know there's really awesome stuff to be done. The doors of opportunity. As a young man, I had a tough childhood, a pretty traumatic childhood that led to me not having the best coping skills when I was in my probably late 20s, early 30s. And I realized at around 33 years old that I had spent most of my life to that point closing doors of opportunity. And so the moment I realized that, I just started opening as many doors as possible.
That's beautiful.
That's incredible. And, you've been around a while. I think it was 2008 when you came into this industry?
Yeah, right around 2008. Well, that's not true. I was at another agency, and I had worked my way in from like marketing consultant to I was somewhat a sales manager for them for a little while, then also a operations manager
But
for them.
the sad part is, we've been in the exhibit hall together for all these years.
Yeah,
And it wasn't until Vancouver that, it was slow and not a lot of people. I just was walking around and man, we just struck up such a great conversation and all the way from yoga to Lucky's Lake to philosophy on marketing. And it
yeah.
just felt so genuine and such a nice memory for me of just
Yeah.
getting to know you and um,
Well,
getting to.
I entered a season recently where I consciously decided to be unapologetically myself, and in doing so, I just realized that I had, and I think I talked to you a little bit about this, right?
Yeah,
Like,
and I've read it on in your stories a little bit that you've got out there. In there, a year and a half ago, there was a turning point for you.
yeah, yeah, about 24 months ago, I walked into Firm Media and was like, look, we're gonna
Be
tear this,
great.
we're gonna tear this thing down to the studs, and we're gonna because it was very good. I mean, we've won awards, Agency of the Year, some sort of award from the American Advertising Federation for web design. We do beautiful work, um, but it wasn't the same person that touched greatness back when that Grammy was won.
I can feel it from you
Yeah,
even, this innovation, this desire to be creative and think through things, and the experience you had with greatness during your earlier career has shaped Firm Media. And I see all sorts of web companies, companies that grow from being programmers or companies that say, oh, it's a cash-based business, let's get in, to companies that are fully innovative with their line of products and don't care about how much it costs to dive into development, but you just dive in for the
yeah,
pure joy of developing something that the industry needs,
yeah.
and I feel that from your company, Chris.
Thank you. I mean, you do great work and the money will show up. I've sort of always believed that. I mean, you can't, what I've learned over the last couple of decades is you can't do it naively because you'll be taken advantage of. And I think
We
that's
all
not
know
me. That's
that.
not me. What I had done was I brought something. I started Firm Media at my kitchen table with $2,000, a phone line, and a business card. And today it's 200 doctors nationwide. You can run the multiples on what we do here. But to some degree, it had been somewhat. I had sort of gone to sleep a little bit, and I had let salespeople hijack it and operations managers hijack it. And they weren't trying to be malicious. They were just trying to do what they do. But I walked in one day and thought, this is really good, but it sure isn't great. It sure isn't greatness. And that's so we tore it back to the studs, and now I'm showing up every day to work, being unapologetically myself. And what that's doing is that that's bringing out the hero in my team members. Not everyone. Some people are saying, "Hey, I don't want to be on the bus anymore. I'm getting off." But other people are that are really hungry to do this are showing up and inspired to do it.
That's incredible. So we're going to jump into a couple of things here. And I've heard you say SEO alone is not a marketing strategy. And I love that. Can you talk about that?
Sure. I wrote an article about that. I actually, I told you recently that I've been writing for Forbes, which is another
Yeah,
really cool, exciting thing that happened.
I've read that article. Yeah,
I just wrote
value-based.
another article yesterday about this specific thing, that SEO is not a marketing strategy. This comes from this, actually, it was birthed sort of just before Vancouver. And then going to Vancouver, I started making these realizations that we work in an industry. There was a time where you would walk into the trade show the trade show floor, and there would be 6 or 8 or 10 marketers on the trade show floor, but maybe more marketers than actual attendees, right? And what happened was, this as well as I do, both of you. If you're an exhibitor at the trade show, eventually you'll get asked to speak on a stage at the trade show. So the the exhibitors end up being the speakers. And so if there's an overemphasis on digital marketing going on in the trade show, and these are the same people speaking, they're going to be telling you that digital marketing is the way to market your practice. So I watched the plastic surgery market become just a massive overemphasis on digital marketing, almost zero emphasis on traditional marketing or brand recognition in the region. And then we started doing marketing. This was a natural progression. Obviously, plastic surgeons were early adopters to digital marketing. We all know that. But then oral surgeons came along, and when general dentists started placing dental implants, oral surgeons started to run into the same problem. I need to start marketing direct to consumer, right? So we started picking up oral surgery clients. We got very big in the oral surgery space for marketing people for things like full mouth restoration, dental implants, right? This group of people, the oral surgeons, had not abandoned things like referral marketing and regional marketing. So they were kind of working on name recognition in the region. They have someone in their practice that actually goes out and nurtures the referring dentists to bring in leads and creates brand recognition and name recognition. And we started watching, hey, if we do SEO or social media marketing or social media advertising for these oral surgeons, there's a synergy that takes place because there's regional brand recognition for this brand that we're not seeing with the plastic surgeons, right? The plastic surgeons are just focusing on web, they're just focusing on social. When now there's all of these avenues. I mean, when digital marketing came about, it was because traditional marketing had gotten too expensive and not targeted enough, right? You couldn't run a TV commercial. So small to mid-sized businesses stopped running TV commercials. They stopped running radio. They started focusing on digital advertising and digital marketing. But now look at what's happening with streaming. TV commercials are much more targeted and much more affordable. We have a product called the Omni Blend. If I talk.
Yep. You can talk about that. That'd be great.
Super excited. I don't know about the self-promotion, right? Super excited about that product because that's exactly what it is.
Education, the Omni Blend. Yeah. Well,
that's exactly what that product is.
Make a link to it in the show. The show notes.
It is funny.
The way Omni Blend works is we can take a 3 to 5 mile radius around a practice, figure out exactly what household demographics might need those services. So if it's anything from med spa to plastic surgery to oral surgery, there's different household demographics that fit that nice little, fit the people that we want to be marketing to. And now because of because we can actually access that data in that region, right, through things like geofencing, I can tell you, I can come up with the addresses of the right household demographic and mail a postcard to their mailbox. I can send a social ad to their cell phone. I can send PPC to their computer, and I can also send a commercial to Hulu, Roku, or Disney, or any of those channels. And there's a strong chance that I can get that same family to see the ads for this practice 7, 8, 10 times in a row within 3 to 4 months.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and it's you're not talking about the prices that it used to be. It used to be 5 to 10 grand for a billboard, right? And now for that amount of money, I can attack an entire household from all those different angles.
Very innovative.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really cool, and you have so many ideas, and you bring so many new things to market. I know you have a new digital magazine that you're going to be rolling out. Are you comfortable sharing a little bit about that with us here?
Yeah, it's called ALM. It's technically, well, I guess I'm letting the cat out of the bag. It's an acronym, but it's not spelled as all uppercase because I don't really want it. ALM. I thought ended up being really great. I originally wrote it down in a think tank as Aesthetic Industry Lifestyle Magazine, and then I just took the first letters and threw it into the team, and I was like, hey, this is what I want to do. I want to create a lifestyle magazine called ALM. And they came up with Alm Atelier, which was kind of the French word for workshop or gallery, I think. So Alm became the concept. The original idea behind it is I believe that people, especially in the aesthetic industry, are tired of being sold to. I believe that people all over the place are tired of being sold to. And I believe that there's a generation of people coming along or that have arrived that are more interested in authenticity. And I think, I hate to cheapen it, but I think that authenticity is actually becoming or has become a brand position. So just positioning yourself as unapologetically who you are, authentically who you are. This is who I am. This is what I do. And then kind of being willing to attract your people. So Alm was birthed out of this concept. So I also think people are tired of hearing, I'm the plastic surgeon who worked on so-and-so and they're famous and here's all the photos on my Instagram and so on and so forth. I think people are yawning at that stuff these days. Sure, I think there's a whole group of people that are still interested in that, but for the most part, I think society is moving away from that. So the only way to get into Alm is we will interview and this is anyone who does anything in the aesthetic space. It could be a med spa, it could be a plastic surgeon, it could be an oral surgeon, full mouth restoration, any of those things. Somebody from Smile Train. The only way to get into Alm is to have a life-changing story, and the story is going to be about the patient and the work that the business, physician, or practice did. There'll be a component to it where the only way to move the article along in the magazine towards the front of the magazine is through social interaction. So the more interesting people think the story is, the more predominant that story will become in the actual campaign. It's being partnered with something else that we're calling the Alm Educational Series, which is a podcast that I think y'all are going to be joining us for. Super excited about that. I think we're going to talk about Bragg Book in a few minutes, right? And we're going to talk about
I'll just touch on it.
But Alm, the idea behind Alm is that practices, I think, are very hungry. I think people are tired of going to trade shows and listening to the digital marketers talk on stage about how important digital marketing is. People are tired of that. They want to know how to make their practice more profitable.
Well, right? I don't know that digital marketing is working as well as it might have worked 8 years ago. It's Google is throwing out so many different challenges.
Well, everybody's using digital marketing now. So, I mean, my inbox went from, a couple dozen marketing messages to I wake up in the morning and there's a couple hundred. So it's just so, saturated. So, I really resonate with the authenticity aspect of what you're talking about. I know I'll scroll on social media for a couple minutes and I'll just be like, this is just garbage. I mean, it's just reiterated garbage over and over and over again. So I really hear you there.
Yeah. So we're excited about it. We'll see where it all goes. The first thing we're doing is the Alm Education Series, because I have realized that over the last 20 years, I have met some of the smartest people in the industry, including you two. So why not start a podcast where it's 30 minutes long. I'm asking hard-hitting questions, and specifically they're questions about how do the listeners of the Alma Education Series take whatever information you have that you're going to give them on this podcast episode and apply it to their practice to make a difference. That they have a business they want to add to their bottom line. They're not running businesses for fun and for free.
So I have something for you to think about. It's very unique about this industry. It's so male dominated on the business side of it, and so female on the actual in practice kind of thing and target audience. I mean, 85% of patients are female.
Sure.
And I'm just saying that men don't always know how to talk to women.
I feel you. I sent an email today to Dr. William Bruno in Beverly Hills, and the last time I was sitting in his office was about 2 months ago, and he's taken a hard shift into what I think he's classifying as wellness. And I just sent him an email and said, it's an interesting space for a plastic surgeon to move into, and I want to have you on the podcast because I want to talk about where wellness fits with plastic surgery. I don't even know what his answer is yet, but that's the kind of.
That's a great, but let me encourage you to, I know you're interviewing me, but some other women, there's some.
I want to meet the people that I need to meet, right? And Alm is also an effort for me to be more immersed in the industry. It's a tactic kind of that I'm using to say, hey.
Yeah.
How do I spend more time with these smart people and become smarter?
Yeah, think about this vulnerability for a woman. They're maybe unhappy about some part of their body. They have to go into, which usually it used to be a male plastic surgeon, undress
Hmm.
and let them mark all over their body. Like, what kind of, like, think about how that might be.
Sure.
Developing a relationship and a conversation is pretty important from a marketing perspective. But I really want to get into stories of charity. Your Project Boon, how does that work? And, you know, um, what joy does it bring you and your staff?
Ooh, Project Boon. I'll give you the elevator pitch. It's a 501c3 nonprofit located here in Southern California. Produced, when I say we produce holiday-based events. So when I say holiday-based events, think some of the traditional holidays like Christmas, Thanksgiving, Easter, even things like back to school. I used the digital marketing services of Firm Media to create an online presence for a nonprofit that facilitated volunteer opportunities and produced holiday-based events. And then Project Boon would bring all things at holiday. So Project Boon basically distributes 2 weeks worth of groceries to 300 to 400 families every event. I think that's about 16,000 meals distributed at each event.
Wow.
We provide volunteer opportunities. So the scale of our events, if you get 400 families at an event, you're talking about thousands of people showing up with the kids. The scale of the event requires 3 to 4, sometimes the Thanksgiving event requires 500 volunteers. So the hours of volunteers, the volunteer hours that we provide annually, and large group volunteer opportunities that we provide is enormous. No one has, in 14 years of being open, no one has ever been written an actual, there's no payroll, no one gets paid. We do have one employee here at Firm Media who is the sort of corporate responsibility officer that sort of makes sure that Project Boon keeps running. But on top of all that, there's a couple things that we do that I think are really special. One, we don't want families or children's coming and having them feel like they're in a soup kitchen line. Mm-hmm. So we create a massive event. And what I say by massive event is we have mobile stages that come in, live entertainment, wow, face planing, balloon animals. And then we invite 25 to 50 county nonprofit or government agencies to provide things like flu shots, haircuts, eye exams, dental exams. And we do this 2 to 4 times a year. And to date, we've distributed somewhere in the neighborhood of 300,000 or 400,000 meals. Wow. I think we're about 350,000 meals. And we've provided somewhere in the neighborhood of about 50,000 volunteer hours to people in the community. And yeah, so.
That's incredible. Yeah, in a previous episode, we were talking about, and this kind of ties into some of the, omni blend and just, trying to get your message out, get into the community. And, so many of the practices we work with, they're so focused on digital and, how do they get and actually meet real people, build connections in their community. And we're starting to pitch them and encourage them to go out and do these volunteer projects because it's a face-to-face thing. You're actually helping someone and you're creating that connection in real life, which generally has an effect on your digital presence. So I think that's incredible. That's really cool.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm very passionate about it. I love seeing it unfold. It's something that I'm very proud of. We have an incredible reputation in the nonprofit community in Southern California as sort of the way that the events are run and people that strategically partner with us and funding. We end up getting pretty good support from grants and things like that because of the fact that no one's been written a check or, it's the closest thing to giving directly. And it's a really wonderful little system that we've built here. I like to say that we've built a machine over the last decade that not only serves meals and provides volunteer opportunities, but puts somewhere in the neighborhood of $150,000 to $200,000 of resources back into the community every year. And they just come in and then they go back out.
It's real interesting. When I hear you talk about it, it feels so like a love hug to these people instead of a pat on my back because I'm volunteering. It's
It's
really,
authentic.
I guess I call it a love hug.
Well, that's interesting because the word boon, I picked up from a Buddhist monk, a Thai Buddhist monk, and he was having a conversation with somebody about why people give food to Buddhist monks, and this concept was that people receive boon, or the merit that they get for doing a good deed. So Project Boon really became about the volunteering, not about the people that it helps. Obviously, the people that it helps are very important, but we do a volunteer appreciation event every year where we name Volunteer of the Year, and that person's life is changed exponentially after they're named Volunteer of the Year.
Well, congratulations to you on that.
Thank you. Thank you.
I
Yeah,
think we'll touch a little bit on Brag Book, TK.
Yeah, so we're in the early stages of working together on Brag Book.
I'm super excited about this. Like, this week was a big week for us, right? Getting that all set up and ready to go.
Yeah, it's been fun. Just from a outside perspective on, you build websites, you manage galleries. I'm sure you see issues with both before and after photos and some kind of common issues with before and after galleries. And maybe you could talk a little bit about what those are and how Bragbook could help a little.
Sure. So as you both know, we were in the process of building a photo gallery. We were implementing AI technology to write descriptions and all of that good stuff. And we were about midstream. And I think we're probably not halfway. We're probably a quarter of the way through building it, and met you and saw what you had built and thought a faster way to get this done is just to develop a strategic partnership. You guys have put years and years into this tool. It's beautiful. It's functional. It does all the things that we would want ours to do when we grew up. So it was an easy kind of no-brainer to sort of negotiate this strategic partnership. I'm super glad that we have a beta test running on this right now, because I think it's such a great tool that I can see a day in the near future where every website we launch has, every aesthetic website that we launch has a Brag Book incorporated into it, and I'm excited about that opportunity.
Well, thank you. Partnerships are fun,
Yeah.
right? I mean, what
we're here, right?
Yeah, like
we ended up here.
Yeah. One of my questions was going to be, what do you think about competition? And competition's great. You compete with yourself, but partnerships are more fun.
Sure. And competition, it's opportunity, right? There's plenty. There's plenty for everyone.
There is.
If you're innovative, then there's more for you.
Yeah, there is but there's plenty. We don't go hungry, and oh well, some people do, but I mean, well, let's get back on track.
So yeah, we've had a pretty wide-ranging conversation. I've been dying to hear about the Portugal to Spain ride.
Oh, Portugal to Spain ride. That was 100% my wife's idea. I think in the notes for this prep for this, you wrote something about what I learned from the bike rides or my takeaways.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you that. Yeah.
And I was stumped. I thought, what do I learn from my bike rides? Because when I'm bike riding, I'm trying to unlearn, right? I'm trying to put it out. But my wife is an incredible entrepreneur. I'd love to tell you her story when I'm not taking up podcast time. She's an incredible entrepreneur. She moved here from Mexico when she was 20 because she had gotten a degree in business from University of Guadalajara. And she was working for Bancomex, and Bancomex said, if you learn conversational English, we'll give you a job in the international business department. She wanted that job, so she moved to the United States to speak English. She moved to the United States, got a job working at a restaurant. because she wanted to push a cash register to learn to speak English. Fast forward all these years later, and she bought that building and that restaurant she was in. She owns multiple locations of that restaurant, and that cash register that she pushed is in our garage. So we saved that as a reminder of what an incredible entrepreneur she is. But she's also a go-getter, like most entrepreneurs. And one of the things that she does is she walks the Camino in Santiago, Spain, Camino del Campesano, right? And so she had walked it one year from France to Spain, and I did not go because walking 400 miles is not a vacation to me. And so I did not go with her, and she did that wonderful walk and came home completely enlightened from the process. And every year since she did it, she's asked me to walk it. And then about 2 years ago, she said, what if we ride bikes? Now, selfishly, what I heard was, we're going to get to buy new bikes for this because we don't own gravel bikes. Actually, what I said to her is, let me see the picture that you're looking at. And she handed me her phone, and it was two people on sort of mountain bike and gravel bikes. And we were road bikers at the time. And I thought, well, if we do this trip, we're going to get to buy new bikes. And this will be the first uninhibited bike purchase of my entire life. So I said, I'm in. We bought the bikes. We took them to Portugal and Spain. We rode about 20 miles a day for 10 to 15 days.
Wow.
And I can tell you what I learned. I learned that I learned do the hard stuff. I learned do the hard stuff on that ride. I was riding, and the first day it was raining and it was awful, and I had to build the bikes myself, and I'm not a bike mechanic, and it was janky at best. There was even one point where it was raining on day 2 where I kind of turned to her and I was like, whose idea was this? And by day 3, I couldn't wait to get up in the morning to do it again the next day. And by day 4, during the rain, I would stop into little cafes and meet people that I never would have met. And I have friends from Portugal who say that I've seen parts of their country that they will never see because I rode my bike across it. Yeah, do the hard stuff, because man, I do the hard thing till it's not hard anymore. That's what I learned from cycling.
That's wonderful. Yes, life will change. Is all you have to do is wait a minute.
Yeah.
The tide goes in, the tide comes out.
Yeah. That's incredible. I love doing the long bike rides. So I was live vicariously through you for a moment there. But,
what kind of cycling do you do, TK?
So I have a gravel bike and a mountain bike. I kind of like just kind of I wouldn't call it joyriding, because I usually do between like 40 and 50 miles.
Okay.
But just kind of go pick a point out, 20, 30 miles away, ride there, ride back, see what kind of flowers are on the ground and what kind of random people I meet at the 7-Eleven when I get an energy drink and a Slim Jim. And then
we do have an annual ride here though, and it's around Lake Okeechobee, and you're invited to come do that with us. It's always 2 weeks after the full moon in February.
Okay. Will you send me an email about that? Because that's the kind of thing I would just send to my wife and she'll just put it in the calendar.
Okay, perfect. It's the biggest lake in Florida. That's why we pick it. 115 miles around. 2 weeks before the full moon, we usually run around it.
Okay.
I don't anymore because I've been going through some deals, but I'm on my way back strong. So who knows? Maybe I will again. But that's our Lake Okeechobee. It's LOST, Lake Okeechobee Scenic Run.
Okay.
Trail.
And it's on the levee all the way around the lake. It's just fascinating, the history of it and everything. So we'll send you a link to that and we'll do it. It's really, all of our stuff is groundswell stuff. So it's just a group of people, we're going.
Well, I knew there was a swim we were supposed to do too, which I unfortunately can't do. I'm actually going to be in Orlando in a couple of weeks and I can't do it because of the schedule doesn't permit for it, but I'm dying to get out and do some of that stuff.
There'll be a day you'll be back and we'll do it. So, well, Chris, really, truly, what a beautiful conversation and getting to know you, and can't wait to meet your wife and one day visit you in California.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you.
So lastly, just how can listeners get a hold of you, find you? I know we'll put everything in the show notes, but what's the best way to reach you?
My personal Instagram is Sucha Media, SUCHA Media. My obviously Firm Media, firm-media.com. It's a great way to get a hold of us. But yeah, follow us on social. Lots of fun stuff coming up. We're at all of the big trade shows.
Yeah, and
here.
we're going to be looking out for the Red Chair campaign.
Thanks.
Yeah.
It's a little weird to me to be front and center like that. I have a really great PR team here that's really pushing, and I've seen myself articles that I've written show up in magazines this last couple of weeks. I had an article come out the other day about a medical weight loss product that we're using for marketing that came out this morning. I think Forbes magazine pushed something out for me on social media this morning, and then one of the women in the office told me that there's a cover story that we're doing on some origin story of mine or something. So I haven't done this kind of stuff since the music business, and it's been a long time. I started Firm Media to literally build Firm Media and get out of the way. And somehow my team was like, nope, you're the story, so let's tell it. And so I guess I'm just trying to enjoy it, have fun with it.
That's great.
Yeah, and I can imagine it would be a little uncomfortable, you know, when you decide to put something public, like we're great, we're going to be great. You know, you're putting it out there. So I'm proud of you for doing it. I'm thankful to know you, and we'll wrap this podcast up and just keep our conversation going.
Great. Thanks for being my people. Appreciate it.
Thank you. All
Thank
right.
you.
Bye.
Bye.